I'm Aaron Sagers, and this is Talking Strange. Hey there, spooky nerds, and welcome to Talking Strange, the Paranormal Pop Culture show. As always, I am your host, Aaron Sagers, journalist, author, researcher of weird things. And this episode of Talking Strange, a spooky season episode, although they're all spooky season episodes, is brought to us by our good friends at Roosevelt's, who have an entire line of spooky season attire. And right now I'm decked out in some trick-or-treat, some Jack threads here, which I'm loving, as well as the trick-or-treat rules emblazoned here on this shirt. But today, we are going to be talking to some folks from the streaming platform and YouTube channel Alter, which is a horror platform that really, it's 3 million strong, and it's got just loads of content, so we're going to get into that. So instead of me rambling on, why don't we get to you guys? Sophie, Carroll, creative director. What does a creative director do?
So I created Alter many years ago, six and a half years ago. Gunpowder and Sky, who are our parent company, they already had Dust, a pre-existing sci-fi platform, and they were in production, which Shannon could talk more about actually, on this great horror movie called Summer of '84, and it kind of inspired them of like, why don't we do a horror version of Dust? And they're like, how are we going to do that? And they hired me, and I pitched on it, and my first hire was Shannon.
Yeah, many years ago as well. Yeah. I started off as a curator, so we built the channel from the ground up. Watching lots of stuff, begging people to believe in us.
Yes, and we were like, this platform doesn't exist, but we promise you it's going to be really cool.
We love horror. We're spooky gals.
Yeah, we promise you, like, let's talk about horror movies. And it worked. We aimed to get like 100 short films in our belt before we like actually launched, because we wanted to know we had like a library to like actually launch with. It was a lot of really sweet talking and convincing filmmakers that we just love their movies. And it kind of sucks that after festival runs, short films tend to just disappear. Yeah. They like, some of them go huge, obviously, we've seen it happen, but not all of them. And there's some really, really incredible ones out there that we just thought it was a shame. So we gave them a home. And a community that really loves them, which Shannon could talk more to because she's our community manager.
So let's talk about sort of the community as well as the voice of Alter. How would you define that?
Yeah, so it's pretty natural because it's just us, which is great. Just two gals who are obsessed with horror. We're very close with our community. We're so lucky. They're very, very kind. But yeah, I'm the person who communicates with the filmmakers and like figure out the launch and the life of the films, making sure they have a breathing life that continues on YouTube.
Yeah, she's a wizard on the YouTube back end, basically.
A wizard.
Yeah.
If you have any questions.
What are your horror movie origins? So what was the moment, the film, the jump scare, whatever it was, that locked you in as in a fan?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm from Texas. I'm from Austin. My sister is obsessed with horror, and she's 8 years older than me. So I was like 7 when I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It reeled me in, and I just couldn't stop. My mom is kind of a hoarder, but luckily hoarded VHSs. So I was able to watch as much as I possibly could at a very young age.
That's a good kind of hoarding. I mean,
definitely, collecting, I should say.
Collecting. No, she has an incredible VHS collection that we will digitize at some point. Yeah. And similarly, I was far too young to see what we saw. I really love Scooby-Doo.
Okay.
And I fully see it as gateway horror, especially Scooby-Doo Zombie Island. Really, I was like I just loved it so much, and I got into Buffy kind of from that, just from British TV programming. And I had an incredible, terrible babysitter called Gemma, who, like, I realize now was just like a teenage girl.
Yeah,
She was just a teenager that my parents
Where
left
is
me
she
with.
now?
Where is Gemma? And she showed me Scream when
Okay.
I was like 6, 7 years old, and she was like, if I show you this and you tell your parents, like, you're going to be in so much trouble.
Yeah.
So you have to keep it a secret. And I did.
Which is so fun, and it makes it all like that much better, right?
I was like, oh my God, this
so
is the scariest things I've
exciting.
ever seen. Like, I want to see more of them. And then, like, she showed me Scream 2, and I did unfortunately develop a fear of public restrooms
Okay.
after
Yeah,
that for
yeah.
like quite some time. And my parents were like, where did this come from? And I still kept the secret.
This is great timing because I just recently had Matthew Lillard on the show as one of our guests. So
Love
both
him.
Scooby and Scream. Although it's funny, you both come from sort of a slasher background for your horror movie origins. Any of the supernatural variety that made a mark on you early on?
Well, I grew up Catholic.
Same.
I went to Catholic school all the way through to 18. So the first time I saw The Exorcist, I was like beyond not okay. That one really got
messes
me.
me up. Yeah.
Well, I mean, culturally, it still has such an insane footprint for this boogeyman of a movie that the movie itself is, said to be cursed or, led to a spike in reports of demonic infestations and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
It's also just one of the best movies
Great movie.
ever made.
Yeah.
How about you? I mean, also with Dust, that's kind of more cryptids and extraterrestrials, but definitely fits within the horror realm at times, as well as paranormal, because it's not currently defined by science, so it fits all within that. But what about any supernatural elements?
Yeah. So in college, I was really interested in Asian horror because of ghost stories that are not American, and a lot of American adaptations. But my favorite ghost film is A Tale of Two Sisters, a Korean film. I was a production designer, and there's like essays written about how the ghostliness of haunted objects, which I love a haunted object.
Same.
Yeah.
I have a few at home, in fact.
Oh my God,
Yes. Yeah.
we would
So-
love to hear about that. Yeah.
I'll take you on a tour. It's like sort of like a night at the museum, but a night at the haunted museum for me. But
Cool.
So speaking of that, like the cultural kind of connections and the cultural, the breadth of horror that we see in so many different cultures, how does that apply to Alter? Are you actively looking for shorts, films that are coming from maybe the corners of the world that we don't normally get a spotlight on, or different kinds of tales,
Yes, I mean that's a major part of my curating of everything that we put out. It's really, really important to me to try and get different voices, also just because they're telling different stories, and we've between the two of us seen hundreds of thousands of short films, and it's cool to see a new story. We've actually debuted quite a few shorts from like really small regional areas that maybe wouldn't have seen the light of day otherwise. I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. I mean, Maka is from Saudi Arabia.
I don't
I want
remember,
to say,
but we have like a few shorts from Cuba,
Yeah.
like places where it's really hard.
Uruguay.
It's really hard to
Taiwan.
make short films, films in general. So, that was kind of day one. We were talking about, being women who are in horror and talking about, marginalized voices who aren't, their stories aren't getting told or being seen. They are getting told, but they're not being seen, and they're not given the platform. So
to be seen. So there's definitely a focus on worldwide film, also LGBTQ plus films from female filmmakers, films from people of color. Like it's very much a part of our programming.
Yeah. I mean, I would actually say that something from my experience on sort of the paranormal and spooky side of things, but also as a horror fan, it seems like by talking about the things that scare us, the lore, the monsters, the myths out there, that is the best way to educate people about the larger world out there. I don't know if it's just because it's easier to tell a story about a monster and then it clues you in on these other cultures you may not know as much about. Has that been kind of does that align with your discoveries by people watching these films from Cuba, from Asia or whatever, and saying like, okay, now I'm learning a little bit more about the world through Alter maybe?
Definitely.
I think so, definitely. I mean, one of the things that we get a lot of comments from our filmmakers on is how kind of polite the comment section on our videos tends to be, and that's all down to Shannon's community management. And one of those things, is someone will be like, I don't think I understood this because I missed like a cultural reference, and then another person will be like, well, here's how, and they'll explain it to each other, and it's like very, it's just a civil, polite learning experience. It's really sweet. And we have it, I mean, I've seen shorts where I've been like, I know this is amazing, but I'm missing something. And that's why we have our part-time curators that work with us that are from different backgrounds, so we can all,
so like
put
search,
forward our own.
Search and like discovery is, it's really important to us. And all of the different like spooky stories being told. You tap into fears that you didn't even know you had, which is like the best part of horror, right? Like the slashers are easy. Like we know that they're scary.
Yeah, you'll find there's not quite that many slasher films on Alter. Because they tend to be a little repetitive. And when it gets reinvented, I'm first in line. But like when it's the same thing, it can be,
I was seeing on Alter the Armoire. That's one that's out there. There's OG, There's so you have a captive audience. It's spooky season as we record this. So lay it on us. What are some of your favorite spooky season movies, shorts that people can check out on Alter? Your favorites. You go first.
Absolutely. Well, I should shout out Halloween. We've got an amazing film called Stinky Girls by Adam White coming out.
So fun.
It's very fun. I'd call it bubblegum horror. And I think it's an incredibly accurate portrayal of teenage female friendships that are very close. Very close.
Think Pen 15, but body horror.
Yes.
Okay. Very fun.
So I'm very excited for that one to come out and for the audience to see how they react to it. Always my favorite part. And in terms of spooky haunted movies, I think I'd go with The Armoire is one of the first films we ever signed to the channel before we existed. They were one of the ones that believed us. And
Haunted Object.
Fact. You find something cool stooping, and you're like, this is the best thing ever, let me move it into my apartment, and it's got a curse. Oh, okay, how do you deal with this? And again, that could be such a basic story, but it's the filmmaking behind that one that is just, it really, really, really ramps up the tension. And it has great sound design, and the acting is fantastic, and it's the whole package. So I think for haunted shorts, that's one of the best haunted ones.
I think my favorite is The Beast. I want to give that short some love. It's found footage, low budget, just like so inventive. If you like The Descent, if you like Wreck, this is the one for you. Even like Skinamarink, it's very like liminal and so effective.
So effective, It really. That was one that was actually submitted to us on our Film Freeway, which we have. You can find us on Film Freeway, Alter Dust Submissions. What a breath of fresh air it was. It tapped into kind of the SCP Foundation and liminal spaces in a way that was just very exciting and gross. And that's what we like, exciting and gross.
Really impressive.
Yeah, it's a really impressive film, and it's chapter 1, so I'm excited for chapter 2 to come out.
I know I would also throw out their Dead Teenager Seance. That's one to check out. That was one I saw that I dug. And as far as submitting films, give us a quick rundown of suggestions and how to do it. I know you just kind of alluded to that.
Yeah, so our Film Freeway is the best way to submit to us. We accept films that are over 5 minutes long, kind of to I mean, what's the longest one we've got? Like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So
We're
really
open.
We're open. We run the gambit. Anything in the horror space, anything in the sci-fi space. We especially love sci-fi horror. I mean, in terms of what we look for,
everything.
No.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah. Don't be afraid, I think is a good thing to put. I mean, The Beast is a good example. That film is so incredible, and it was sat on its YouTube channel with like barely any recognition. If you think you have a little movie that should have been seen, let's see it.
We want people to see it. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to make people afraid. My producer is going to kill me, but I have to sneak this in here because it is spooky season. So I know you said you grew up in the UK, you grew up in Texas. So either creepy old house at the end of the block, urban legend you grew up with, or maybe a scary story that you found yourself in the midst of, and go, lay it on me.
Okay. I'll do two very small ones. I mean, my Catholic school, we had, it used to be a nunnery before they just started hiring, teachers. And we had a ghost at our school, a nun that apparently slept with someone other than Jesus, and killed herself on the campus. And there was like a whole area that people said they would feel things. I think that they were trying to get us to just not have sex. I think that's where that rumor started. I had the hugging incident where I moved into this house, this really cute little Victorian house in Hackney in London, and it was this one street, and everywhere else had been flattened by the Blitz in World War II, but this one street had survived. And I lived on that street. And the first night I was sleeping there, I woke up in the morning and was like, I fully believed that my boyfriend at the time was there in bed with me, because I was fully being spooned and hugged, and I could feel the weight of this person. And then I remembered that it was the middle of the week and my boyfriend only stays over at the weekend. And then I turn around and it's gone. And I could feel them holding me. Like, it wasn't, I'm very much a skeptic, and I really want to see something that makes me go, yes, 100%, I believe it all, because I'm so desperate for a ghost to say hello to me. That's the closest I've come, and it really felt like, yeah, there was someone in bed with me.
My mom worked at a very, very haunted school, Metz Elementary in Austin. Blinds going up and down, children running down the hallways, way past school hours. So that's one you can Google Metz Elementary and it'll come up.
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a church in the middle of nowhere that I was taken to. There's only coordinates, and 2 kids went missing there. And I remember going. I've never felt so scared in my life. I'm not easily spooked. You go in, and it's a church that's been untouched since the 70s. Like, there's still kitchenware. So scary. I have pictures that I showed Sophie before this. We can try to find it. You should go there.
I will.
Yeah.
Well, after we wrap, we'll share more spooky stories. Sorry, guys, that we'll be missing out on that. But all right. Well, Sophie and Shannon of Alter, do check out Alter. It's really an ever-expanding platform for horror shorts and for storytellers. You need to check it out. So, my guests have been Sophie and Shannon of Alter. This has been Talking Strange. I have been and hope to remain so, Aaron Sagers. And until next time, be kind, stay spooky, and keep it weird.